Most personal injury work focuses on compensating the plaintiff for physical injuries, personally injury. Paralegals may also obtain medical reports from physicians and hospitals describing weight loss. Fourth, personal injury paralegals are also hired by insurance companies to investigate claims.
Okay, so personal injury, and when we talk about negligence, negligence is a part of the law that we refer to as a tort. A tort is a civil wrong. It's not criminal, right? So if a person was operating a motor vehicle negligently, and they had an accident, and that accident might have resulted in the death of someone else, or the loss of a limb, or damage to an automobile, those are all torts. In other words, they're not criminal. Something can be both criminal and civil, but typically, if it's an accident, it falls under negligence law, whether or not the person was operating a motor vehicle negligently, which means they failed to exercise the minimum degree of care that a person should when they're operating, let's say, a motor vehicle, right? If I got angry at somebody in here, and I picked up this eraser and threw it at them, but instead of hitting the person I wanted to, I hit somebody else, that could be criminal, right? I guess, we could argue that it's a type of assault. Or it could be civil or a tort, right? I did something either purposefully or negligently, okay? And if you wanted to sue, you could sue me personally, but guess who else you could sue?
The other person? The school?
The school. Right? Don't I represent the school?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So many times during a lawsuit, you're going to sue the individual, but sometimes there's no point suing the individual because they might not have any. You get a judgment against me, but what good is $1 million judgment if I didn't have $1 million? So you go after the people who have the deeper pockets, right? And that would be ASA. And myself as a representative, quote unquote, of ASA, the school would then be liable based on my actions, or could be potentially liable based on my actions. Okay. Insurance law. Insurance law involves the law related to contracts issued by an insurance company. Insurance is a contract by which an insurance company, the insurer, promises to pay a sum or give something of value to another to compensate the other for a specialized loss. Insurance protection may provide compensation for injury or death, property damage, or other types of losses. Paralegals employed in this area work for private law firms, insurance companies, companies that buy large amounts of insurance such as hospitals. Paralegals in this area may be involved in reviewing government regulations and monitoring an insurance firm's compliance. They may be asked to review insurance contracts, undertake factual and legal investigations, or provide litigation assistance in lawsuits involving an insurance company. Okay. The next one is employment and labor law. Somebody else?
Employment labor law. Employment labor law deals with employment. This includes law governing health and safety in the workplace, labor union and labor management, relationship, employment discrimination, sexual harassment, wrongful determination, pension claims, retirement and disability income, employment pharmacy rate, the minimum wage, and other overtime. work, working environment, and labor law work for a law firm, corporation, and other business entity, government agency. Paralegal may specialize in just one area of employment. For example, they might work in an area of workers' compensation
Mhm.
Compensation.
under workers' compensation statute employees who are injured on the job or compensation from state found or insurance found. Paralegal working in the area of state injury personnel and obtaining what's that?
What? Compensation?
Compensation from state found in insurance found. Some government agencies allow paralegal to represent clients at agency hearings. Paralegal work in the area of employee local work with or for other agencies such as the Occupational Safety and Health Administration or the Equal Employment Opportunity
Commission.
Commission. Paralegal in this
Specialty?
specialty needs to be familiar with each agency's distinct set of rules and procedures and the agency role in this
Dispute resolution.
resolution.
Okay, so employment or labor law. When you're talking about employment or labor law, you're dealing with employment relationships, right? Relationships between bosses and workers. Okay? It could also be relationships between co-workers, things of that nature. So let's say, for example, if you're working somewhere and your supervisor or your boss is sexually harassing you, okay, and you don't know where to turn to help from, you might contact an employment lawyer, okay? Because ultimately what might end up happening is you might have to sue your employer, because that person, that supervisor, or even that employee is very much a representative of the corporation. If the corporation is allowing this harassment to go on and they're not doing anything to correct it, then you might have the basis for a lawsuit. Okay? Also, if you're wrongfully terminated from a job, or another common situation is you might work for an employer who might refuse to allow you to go home at 4 o'clock when you're supposed to get off. And what they might do is force you to work overtime and not compensate you for it. And that happens often, especially in scenarios where you're dealing with a workforce that might not be in the country legally, right? They might be in a situation where they're not in a position to really contest what's going on. One of the things that sometimes happen is that you'll get a group of them together and they'll go and file a lawsuit through the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And you see that referenced here in number 5. Okay? And what they're doing is they'll get together, they'll sue the employer for lost wages and unfair work practices. And a lot of times they'll recover money. Okay? Estate planning. Okay, estate planning involves helping clients decide how their property will be transferred to others upon their death. Now, this area of the law is dealing with people trying to manage their affairs before they die. Right? Either through a will or through a trust. Huh?
Or who is packaged from these people just for other people.
Right. So, a paralegal who specializes in this particular field will have to frequently interview clients in order to find out what it is they want, right? What do you want to happen to, you know, your house and your bank accounts and this, that, and the third? Okay, and that's where a paralegal who specializes in estate planning comes in.